Right, so for every woman's dream is to have long, flowing, beautiful hair. And especially for those of us of African descent, it would be nice if we had that, right? Well, one woman, and who is by no means Caucasian, is the world's record holder for the world's longest hair. She's in Kenya and she's live right now on Sunrise Live. How long is it? We will be revealing that in just a moment. Is she related to Nelson Mandela? All of your questions that are coming in on Twitter, well, she's about to answer those questions and a whole lot more. I have so many questions for this woman. Like, first of all, who does her hair? Let's start there. But you know, it's great to be able to have you with us, Asha Mandela, who's the world's record holder for the world's longest hair. You are in Kenya, karibu sana. And we will be talking about the Kenyan connection and as to why you're here. You're here for a number of reasons. So let's talk about this world record. You got this world record in what year, and what was the length of your hair at the time?
I first got the record in 2008, and it was a little bit over 8 feet, I would say close to 9. And the reason why it was that length is because so many years I had medical problems and my hair grew so fast. So I had to find ways to shorten it because cutting was not an option. Okay. So I tied little knots, you know, from the scalp to the end. As it grew, I keep tying little knots. So when we first measured it, it was that length. And then when Guinness realized that it was actually much longer, they says, I need to find someone who's willing to take all those tiny knots out of there so we can reveal the full length. And then it was remeasured and adjudicated again in 2009 at the actual length that it was at that time.
Okay. Can you talk a bit about that condition? Because I think everybody wants long hair, but in your case, it came because of a condition that you had, not necessarily, you know, the dreams that all women have of growing their hair.
Well, I think I always had like really full, thick hair, fast growing hair, but I think you can never realize how much your hair is going to grow until you probably put braids or something. Okay. But still, even in locks, some people would have like really full hair, but they don't have the length. For me, I tell people there is no way for me to really explain it except that for me, as an individual, it was a spiritual gift. I always say it took on a life of its own. Okay. So I really don't know how to explain it. It just started growing up a storm.
Okay.
So.
All right. Okay. And so for you, of course, having the world's longest hair, it's not just about the length. It's not just about holding the world record. It's about a lot more for you.
Well, first I need to clarify, it's not the world's longest hair. It is in the hair category. The longest hair is out of China. Okay. It's the longest dreadlocks. Okay. And that was a new category, a new entry, and I'm the first ever in that category. Okay. It's about, I think when it first started, it was that spiritual awakening, change of life, and also not wanting to deal with like chemicals and perms and all that. So that little combination is what formed it. But really to go this far, it takes like more than perseverance, you know, determination and a little bit of everything, because it is hard.
Indeed. And it has grown quite a bit from the time at which it was measured for that. Now your hair measures at what length?
It's a little over 21 feet. It was measured in 2009 at 19 and a half.
Yes.
It was actually 20, but when it was done live, the longest one is actually very thin, and that's my baby. I'm overprotected. So yes. I'm like, we can stop at 19 and a half, it's okay. Okay. But it was actually a little bit longer. So that was like 3 going on 4 years ago.
21 feet of hair. Okay, a lot of us wish for that. And we'll be talking a little bit about, you know, how you move around with 21 feet of hair that's cascading from your head. But so whose idea was it to then approach the Guinness World Book of Records? Did they find you? Did you find them? How did they know about you to get yourself into this record?
What I've come to realize, though, is that Guinness, based on my understanding, they don't go looking for anyone. If you have something unique and different, you approach them and they would do their research, and if they think it's something of interest to them, then they'll give you the whole, oh my God, you have no idea, it's a lot to go through the process. And the whole process can take anywhere from 3 to 5 months, it all depends. Okay. For me, for the first, this month, I actually celebrate 25 years of growth. And for the first 20 years, my head was wrapped up like how some Jamaican bubble threads would have their hair wrapped. So no one actually knew the length of my hair. Okay. but because of medical problems, again,
Right.
it became really hard to
Yeah.
hold it up
Yes.
and to keep wrapping, so I started letting it down. And that's how it kind of started, because then it's like, you know, I live in America, I'm in Florida, and every time I go out, my hair's out, and people is like, oh my God, it's so long, is it really yours? Are you in Guinness? Are you in Ripley's? So I kept hearing that so much.
Yes.
And then someone says, well, maybe you should look into it.
Okay.
And that's really how it started. I wrote them, they did research, they says, okay, we didn't have the dreadlocks category, but it's going to go in the hair category anyway.
Okay.
For the longest locks, and that's how it started.
All right, and I do understand that category is now closed.
Yes, it is.
That means that you will be the world record holder for life.
For life.
Okay.
That's brilliant. I don't have to worry about anybody trying to come break my record.
No competition for you there.
Not at all.
Okay, so it is, to clarify just that for a moment, it's the world's longest locks. So for all of you that have locks in your hair, this is exactly what you need to be tuning into. So who does your hair? Because you have to keep twisting the locks, right?
I don't do a lot of twisting. Because mine is what I would say not commercial dread or for style and fashion. It was more of a religious thing. It was being wrapped up a lot. So I would use the term that my hair is homegrown, meaning I never twisted. I mean, I would wash and groom and everything. So basically, again, up until 3 years ago, I did nothing to my hair except wash and groom. No professional styling or anything. But once after I had the record and I started getting invited as, you know, guest appearance to a lot of shows and, you know, interviews and stuff, and I was not doing anything to it. I just wanted it natural. And people will be like, well, you know, she holds the record. Why does it have to look so scruffy in the front? It should be neat. But I wasn't into the neat thing. So then I got this professional stylist who says, okay, let's try something. So basically, I don't really do a lot to it, just the basic maintenance of wash, you know, and groom. But if I have interviews or photo shoots, then I would just do like a little bit of twisting. But I personally don't like a lot of twisting.
He must charge you a lot of money.
I've never paid to get my hair done. Everybody wants to get their hands on Asha Mandela's locks.
I should get to that point in my life where everybody just wants to touch my hair for free. Let's talk about washing your hair, because 21 feet of hair, honestly, to get that to dry. How many bottles of shampoo do you go through, you know, in an average wash? Okay, so let's start off basically. How often do you shampoo, you know, wash your hair?
I used to wash my hair like 3 times a week. And then again, 3 years ago, someone says to me, well, that's, you know, like a lot of washing. Your locks can start rotting away. I'm like, well, I'm here 20 years and it hasn't started rotting yet. But I figured I would just narrow it down to once a week. So basically it's once a week. And it's really simple. It's simple for me because I'm used to it. I just go into the shower like anyone else who's going to wash their hair in the shower. The only difference is it's a lot more. So, you know, it's like when I just pull it to the front and I treat it like I'm hand washing clothes. And then I get to the point where I'm breathless, but I have to be a big girl and just keep going and throw it over my shoulder and keep going. But basically, it doesn't take more than 25 or 30 minutes. And I just, you know, dump it in a huge bath sheet to absorb the water. And again, because I live in Florida, I can just, it's always nice and sunny like Kenya. So I just choose that time to lay back on my patio and just lay my baby out. It's my baby.
I like that. So a lot of people then would ask, how do you work? Do you go out and do a 9 to 5 like most of us do? And if so, you know, how do you move around with
well, I do work. I would have to say I'm somewhat of a businesswoman and a public figure. So it's basically considered being self-employed, so everything is on my time. And in moving around, I carry my baby on my back because it's my baby. And it's no different from African women carrying their babies, you know, rushing around, getting errands done and all that. So that's how I carry it around. I mean, for even doing chores around the house and stuff. And if I want to get a little creative, I would just dump it in a pocketbook and just hold a pocketbook or a shopping bag on the side, because you know we like really good friends, me and my hair.
Yeah, your hair is your baby. We've talked about that, and I'm waiting for the moment of reveal, because I think it's important for everybody to see just how you carry your baby around. So obviously, having your hair has elevated you to a different status altogether. So you are self-employed, and tell us about the work that you do and why you are actually here in Kenya.
And being self-employed means that I get invited to a lot of the really huge international hair shows, like in America, like Talia Waid, Bronner Brothers. And I have the option to be a vendor because I have my own handmade jewelry collection along with my own natural hair products. So it comes in a package of vending and also being a guest, you know, like whether it's the MC or meet and greet and getting invited to a lot of interviews and stuff. So even online and, you know, in person. So that's basically what surrounds it. So it's put me in a different level as besides being self-employed as a small business owner, so to speak, a public figure.
Okay, and that's why you are in Kenya to give us a taste of some of your products?
Yes, it's called Zulu Earth Solutions. And I've actually, I created a formula like over 12 years ago. I was going through a lot of medical problems and had a bit of issues from chemo with thinning and breakage and stuff. And no matter what products I used, nothing seemed to work. So I figured the ones that worked, I would come up with my own formula with my little secret ingredient, of course. And so I've used it for 12 years. It's only like within the last 3 years, I mean, it's like everybody is so like amazed with my locks. They'd be like, what shampoo do you use? What oil do you massage with? And what do you retwist? That was like the 3 questions in that little thing. So being that I myself, I'm considered a brand, I figured, why would I be the spokesperson for someone else's hair products when I actually have my own? So it was a matter of launching it, and it was brilliant. And that's basically part of the reason why I'm here in Kenya, to launch the product, because I've had such a huge demand for it from Kenyans. And those who can't afford to get it online, I figure I would make it available from either the beauty supply store or a distributor, which I have now.
Okay, so that is part of the reason why you are here, but perhaps part of the reason why Kenyans can embrace and feel a part of your world record, like we like to do. You know, Kenyans, we're great athletes. A lot of us would like to think we now rule the world because of President Obama, by extension.
I agree.
And now we can also own a piece of Asha Mandela. Tell us why.
Definitely. So I absolutely love Kenya. Before I even say why I'm here too, it's like, excuse me, when I was doing research for my product, one of the names that came to me was like something to do with Kikuyu. I didn't really know anything of Kenya, and I started doing research and how strong the women are and different things, and I liked it, but I couldn't get that name. It was taken. So with that being said, I stuck with what I had. But it was so funny the way in which the guidance was working. I had no friends really in Kenya, and then out of nowhere popped up the best man in the whole world. My husband. He's Kenyan.
It's a love story, isn't it?
Definitely. He is, oh my God. I've asked God for so many years to bless me with someone who can work alongside with me as a team, hand in hand in everything, and really understand me, even my downsides when I get nervous and everything. And there he was, absolutely brilliant man.
Okay, so I think on that note, we will officially declare you Kenyan. We will own a part of you, and we will say a Kenyan is the one holding that world record. Okay, so obviously the age-old question of having your hair natural versus having it processed. It's a question many African persons of African origin, women, battle with, whether you should have your hair natural or processed, or whether you should wear the weaves. Obviously we know your stand, but just speak about that and the challenges that women of African origin face, even in Florida where you live.
You know, in Florida, actually, it's a little bit hard because there's still, I mean, there's racism everywhere, but in Florida, they're still like a little bit reserved with a lot of stuff. So I don't really do a lot there. I just like living there because of, you know, the weather and stuff. I can't cope with the cold too well. But I gotta say that I try to understand the difference with people and their take or their stance with locks versus having perm or weaves. I was the queen of braids and weaves. From from a teenager up until I got my calling for locks. And when I got my calling, as I would put it, I was like, no, I don't want to grow locks because I was too much into style and fashion. You know, different colors, you know, and the weaves hanging all day, and I'm like trying to do like this. You know what I'm saying? Yes, and tons of makeup. So it was hard for me, but again, I think if it was for style and fashion, I was not going to do it. Even those, it's just about growing natural. And that's what I'm finding a lot. Even with the hair shows, everybody's like, I want to go natural.
Yeah.
And in growing natural, they see growing locks as the best option. So the response has been actually, I would say 90% positive. There's still some people out there who has this misconception that locks is dirty, it can never be clean.
That's right.
I don't get upset because I used to think the same way.
Okay.
I used to be like, there is no way you can clean this. But now that I have it, I understand, yes, we are clean. And I try to explain that to them, but half of them still don't get it. They still think.
And now that you have it on so long, yes. Let's talk about that. Obviously, that sort of stereotyping exists just about everywhere. That if you spot locks, although now we're starting to see it in the workplace a lot more, but it's that one, they're not clean, and then one, it's all about the ganja and the weed and that sort of thing, and you know, dreadlock rasta, that sort of thing. That perception exists not just here, it exists everywhere that you've been, right?
It's everywhere. First of all, as soon as people see me, the first thing they think is, I'm Jamaican.
Okay.
You know, so I have to, again, I used to be offended years ago. Then I understand for people that come from the Caribbean, if you don't know the difference in the accent, you immediately pinpoint Jamaica. Then, yeah, there's a huge misconception that you have locks, you smoke a lot of herb.
Okay, yes.
I have never smoked herb. I don't even smoke cigarette.
Okay.
And I try to say that. They'd be like, oh no, your locks are so long and you're a Rasta woman.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Rasta woman term. I'm not comfortable with it, but I've learned to understand that there's still people who need to be educated.
Right.
So it's okay, because really, besides spiritual, my inspiration and admiration came from the Rastafarians from back in the days. So it's easier
obviously
for
the
me to accept
inspiration,
now.
we understand the inspiration, but like you clarify, never smoked weed or you know, I'm trying to think of the politically correct name for it. Okay, obviously that'll come to me in just a moment. We have some questions that we have for you before we reveal that. There's an interesting one here. Let me see, where was that? What would you like done with your hair when you do pass? And that's from Eugene, who's watching the show. What would you like? Okay, of course, we don't like to talk about when people pass on, but it is a reality that we will all face. Would you like to be buried with your hair? Do you want it for research? Do you want it put up in a museum someplace? What are your plans for your hair when you pass on?
I have thought about it, and I did mention to my husband that yes, I want to go into the afterlife with my hair, but I would like maybe a couple pieces in the Museum of Natural History, and if there's also a museum here in Kenya, which I'm sure there is, I would like some there also.
Oh, yes, in
but
Kenya
most
as
of it
well.
I'd like to go with my babies. Yes.
Okay, all right. It's heavy, obviously. That's a question from Mawira J, who's watching. How long is her hair? She will clarify that length again for you in just a moment. But it's heavy, isn't it?
Well, to me, it's not heavy because I've been carrying it for so long.
Of course, yes.
Everybody else looks at it and they think it's really heavy. But like normal, like now when it's dry, it's, I would say, a little over 10 pounds.
Okay.
That was the last time I weighed it, was 2 years ago. It could have been more.
Right.
And when it's wet, it's definitely a neck breaker. It's close to 30 pounds.
Okay.
I'm thinking maybe a little bit more now, but that's what it is.
Okay, all right. So we've also got most definitely talking about hook me up with the lock products. So that is partly what you were here to do, to launch that hair products. Okay, we have some good feedback that's coming in for you here. Wow, a Kenyan husband. Love the smile on her face. Would you shave for him? Obviously, your husband, after living with this for 20 years, if he asked you to cut off your hair, would you?
You know, I'm not really worried about him asking me that because he has locks.
Okay.
And he's a Rastafarian. I'm not, but we understand the link. So he's not going to ask me to cut my hair.
Yeah, he's got his own locks as well. All right, okay. So I think perhaps we want to see how you move around with your hair. And so perhaps some creativity will be required here from my cameraman. If you could just show us how your hair moves with you, how you move around with your babies. We'd like to be able to understand what that looks like.
Well, in terms of everyday chores and errands, my baby is wrapped like this.
Right.
So it's really my baby.
Okay.
And I got creative with this like about 2 years ago. Before that, it was mostly in my pocketbook or a handbag, or in my home, I would just have it flowing behind me. But then with the weight of it, it's like it started pulling. So this is actually brilliant. I can do anything, hop, skip, and jump, and it's fine. You know, I can swing and dance, and it doesn't get in the way.
If you could just sort of stand in that position for a moment, face that camera, because I'd like people to see this is sort of how we carry our babies, you know, in Africa with that on the back. Asha, would you mind? Would we be able to get a full shot of that, if you can untie that, so we can just see this hair? I mean, this is a record, so of course we've got to see this. So for those of you who are asking for that reveal, well, here it goes. Future President, thank you, saying waiting for the moment of reveal. Well, here it is. Let's take a look at then what is involved in the process of letting your hair down. I mean, this really is letting your hair down.
It is, definitely. Like, you know, I tell people, I've claimed it. I am the original Black Rapunzel.
Okay.
Everybody else is like, yeah, because they think it's like totally impossible.
Yes.
And I'm like so happy to let them know that me and my people can grow hair.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let your hair down. And there we go. With that record-breaking hair.
So if you want to see the full length of it, we're just going to need a little bit of help.
Yes, a little bit of space. And this is all you, okay. All right.
So it's a little bit tangled up now. If I have someone
because
to
you've
let
had
it
to
out.
tie it up. Yes. Okay.
But this one here is actually the longest one.
Oh, that's
and I
the
have
one.
separated it because I'm overprotective of this special offspring right here.
That's
so,
the baby, right.
But the rest of it, once you let it out, it goes everywhere. So that's actually not the end. It's still curled in, but that's the best that I can do right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Wow. So all of this is what you're talking about, you know, getting that into the wash, and just, it really is a task. And this is done once a week.
Yes.
I will never complain about my trip to the salon ever again.
I know,
right?
right?
Getting my hair
But you know what it is for me? A lot of people look at it and they think it's like really stressful and there's no way she can do this.
Yes.
Because again, it's my calling. And I know never is a strong word, but I will never cut my hair.
Okay.
So I have just decided that whatever it takes for me to maintain my locks, keep it healthy, and do what I have to do to protect it, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm so used to it. I mean, as I'm getting older, I do get a little bit tired. I get a little bit breathless when I have to do things, but overall, I'm fine with it.
Okay, okay. Wow, so if we can just sort of keep that, and you can take a seat so we can continue to have a feel of your hair. A question from Winnie Oscar on Twitter says, that is some long hair. Is that hair what? I need to touch it to believe it. Do you get that a lot? Can I touch your hair?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I'm not really comfortable with it because to me, everybody carries different vibes, different energy. I don't know where your hands were. I mean, I have to be honest. So I'm not really comfortable with it. However, if someone asks me if they can touch it, depends on my mood and the vibes I get from them, I'll be like, yes, you can. But it really irks me, drives me crazy when people sneak up behind me and just put their hands in there. And I'm like, you know, with kids, I'm fine because I look at it as even a child with dirty hands is still innocent. But grown-ups, it's a different energy. So,
all right. Okay. Some more questions coming in on Twitter. Jefferson says, do you have any children? And if so, what is your daily routine as a mother and an entrepreneur and a Guinness World Record holder?
I do have an 11-year-old son, and I got to tell you, before I had him, I couldn't stand those big yellow buses. They would hold up traffic. Now that I have him and he drives me mad, I do anything to see that bus in the morning. So basically, he goes to school, like leaves the house 7:30. I have my freedom to work because, like I said, I have my own jewelry line. So basically, most of my time is spent at home, except if I have interviews and traveling. I actually enjoy being home. You know, so I work out of my garage. It's like a workshop. I'm making all my jewelry, all my accessories. And then when he comes home from school, you know, we spend time together and he helps me out with little things. So it's really not that hectic and troublesome as some people think it is.
So you just tie up your hair on your back and you keep doing what everybody else does. Another question here, how do you sleep? And I'll tell you what, because I have had long hair before and that thing drives me insane because I don't know where to tie it and I don't know what to do with it. But obviously for you, this is something. How do you sleep?
My baby and I, we have three.
Oh, I like that.
We have three positions,
Okay.
and it all goes with my mood. There are times where if I want to cuddle, then I wrap him up and I use him as a pillow and I just lay my head on him.
Okay.
And there are times where if I feel like I want him laying next to me, then I'm laying on the bed like a normal person, but he's on the bed. I have, my bed is a king size bed. We've got room for everybody. So I just lay him along there, and the thing is, no matter how I toss and turn, he's fine. And if I feel like, okay, you know, I'm being irritable today, I don't want to be bothered, then I dump him on the floor. I spread a sheet next to the bed and I dump him there, and it's amazing. He's so much, I can just roll anywhere. Okay. And he's still got room to play.
Okay, all right. Here's another question. Do you use color to keep it that black? And are you worried at all about graying? You know, is that something you're considering? Do you use color for your hair?
I do. Like once a year, I use like a natural henna product that I have my own little mix there because I try to stay away from the chemicals, and I do my little coloring. I must admit that I didn't really like that too much because the whole idea also was to keep away from chemicals. It's not that much. But again, with my medical treatments, as soon as I started that 12 years ago, I was like gray in a month. And honestly, I was not feeling the gray thing. Okay. So I'm like, I don't want to look like a granny at like, you know, an early age. So I had to figure out a way, and
Okay, so you've talked about chemo, Asha, and we know the devastating effects that chemo has on, you know, on hair. It just falls off. How are you able to withstand the whole chemo process with your hair?
Well, that was 12 years ago. The whole thing started actually 15 years ago. I got injured. I worked in a hospital upstate New York, and I got injured, and that injury to my upper body just led to a lot of problems. And because of issues with that, the cancer started setting in. So I had to give up one breast, and then 18 months after, in between having my son, I had to give up the other one. So to make sure everything was fine, we did a little bit of chemo. I am kind of like a little bit stubborn in certain areas. Well, my husband will tell you.
Well, you've got to be
I didn't do the whole thing because I was like, I am not losing my hair. So I did a little bit, and I just followed my instincts, and it was fine because nothing came back. So yeah, I would hold on to the hair as opposed to the chemo, definitely.
All right, okay. So just talking about that, there's also another question here. In addition to asking about how you keep it that black, most definitely says, my locks cut at the tips. What should I do?
You can't get away from that. Locks is really no different from regular hair. You would experience a little bit of thinning, a little bit of breakage. For me, I would just, my products is really good at stimulating real nice hair growth and keeping it thick. You can't get away from some breakage in between. When mine's is thinning away, that's one of the reasons why I've had a lot of knots in it. I don't, you know, they called me naughty girl at one point. It didn't mind because I would, if it breaks off, Guinness is very strict. I'm just learning about reattachments and all that. But overall, I would tie little knots in the thinning areas. Not everyone would want to do that. But I would much rather tie the knot than have it break off. Some people can also do that. The ends, you can't get away from that sometimes. But what I think really works for me, and it has worked for people, my growth renew oil. You just warm it a little bit and you soak the ends in it. And I do that from time to time, and that really keeps the ends really moist. And because most times it's because it's very dry too in different areas. One of the things that I share with people is that everybody wants to know about the products and if it's going to work for them. But I talk to my hair like people talk to plants. And some people think it's crazy, but if it works for me, then it's okay. I will be crazy. But the bottom line is, you got to take care of the inside too. You have all the fancy products, even mine's, which is really good, and you're using that on the outside. But if your diet is all willy-nilly everywhere, you don't drink a lot of water, you don't take probably, you know, like some supplements and stuff, then you're not feeding the inside to allow it to work with what you're applying on the outside to work. You know what I'm saying?
Oh gosh. The whole myth surrounding locks. Here's one. There's a theory that when you start to grow locks, you sort of lose weight. Is that true?
It didn't work for me because I keep gaining weight. I mean, I just have to look at the food and I'm fat. So I don't know if that really works.
Okay, all right. There's another interesting one here. Kenneth, thank you for texting in. Kenneth Ambani, yay. You say, OMG, that feels like if you really have the passion and the drive to achieve any goal, it is so possible. And he says, you are a good example of this. So let's talk about that. Okay, besides the length of the hair, what's the underlying message that you have? Because you mentioned this is a spiritual thing. This is not just about how long the hair is, but this is a bigger plan for you, a bigger message that you believe relates to the whole being of Asha Mandela. Speak to us about that.
You know, I didn't realize that in the beginning, because to me, I was just a normal person with a spiritual calling that says, we want you to grow locks. And I started growing my locks. Even though it grew as a faster rate, I still didn't think that I was different from anyone else. But being that it's out in the open and this is where it's at, I find, I'm swamped with inboxes and emails from people asking for advice. But besides that, telling me, you are my role model. It tells me that, you know, with the medical problems and everything you've been through, it's not just about locks, it's about determination, it's about perseverance, it's about commitment. So all these little things factor in there, tells you that you are a strong person. So yeah, you are my role model. I mean, someone says to me, yesterday, her daughter says, Mommy, we do have a black Rapunzel, so it is possible.
Right.
And Mommy, if she can take time to do this, Mommy, then you know what, we can try to grow minds too. So it has really been positive in so many ways, and people looking at me as that role model. I guess technically it's a way like someone's really huge, and you trying to lose weight and saying, I can't lose weight.
Okay.
And then you've seen this person struggle to do it. If she can do it, I can do it. So again, it still brings us back into the nice little package of determination, perseverance, commitment, you know, really having that strong personality and the willpower. And if you can do it, I may not be able to do it as you, but you've given me inspiration, you know, and I get that a lot.
All right. In our closing, Asha, I'd like to know what your definition of beauty for a woman is. Obviously, yours might not be the ideal. And like I said in the beginning, Kenyan women are struggling with this. Do I have, the long, beautiful weaves? Do I keep my hair short? Do I keep it long? Do I have it processed? Do I have it natural? But being the world record holder of the world's longest locks, speak to us about what your definition of a beautiful African woman is.
I really think that for me, in my experience and example, it definitely didn't have anything to do with an outer beauty. It's all about the good vibes, your meditation in terms of wanting to live right to the best of your ability. It's not about weaves, it's not about makeup, it's about who you are and what you can do, not just for yourself and your community, and carrying yourself in a positive manner. And I think that's that little package of beauty there, as opposed to wondering, who's looking hot in tight jeans or who's wearing the best weave and all that. Those things never really faze me. Now, don't get me wrong, I would want to stay looking good anyway. But in terms of that definition that you have to have long hair to be a beautiful black woman, or you have to have this body, is how American people refer to it.
Yes.
No, for me that does not apply. And I would have to say that people need to be more confident in their self and their culture and their race, and really take time to look beyond those faults and see your own need as a person and love yourself that way. And once you're able to work with loving yourself, it didn't matter if you had braids, weave, a pretty face, or whatever, because we are all unique in our own way and have something special to share with everybody individually. That's the definition of being beautiful to me. We
are all unique in our own special way, and you are certainly unique in your own special way across the world. So, wow, okay. Some interesting feedback that continues to come in on Twitter, but thank you so much for joining us with this. I just want to read some of that feedback. Obviously, I should have been cognizant of the fact that if we have a world record holder and we're talking about long hair, everything else pales in comparison. So I'll just take a look at some of the feedback that you have sent in for the show today as we wind up our discussion. Collins Nyangoya, you say, does she have a license for that hair because it is so long? Mark, you say, I won't lie, that hair is just gorgeous. My future wife has got to have that kind of well-natured hair, and you do deserve the record. Okay, let's read some more feedback here. Most definitely says, thanks for answering all, or rather asking all my questions. I spend so much per month and I wouldn't mind trying her products. We'll let you know how you can get those. Lucy, you say, wow, the hair is so long. Big up to Asha for maintaining it. Martin Wanjia, you say, now that Asha is the black Rapunzel, is her son the black Jack, and does he have a giant beanstalk at home? Buyela Moses, you say, she's amazing. Future President, you say, tell Asha Mandela to leave you a piece of her dreadlocks. I'll come for just one piece. And then here's another interesting comparison. Martin, again, you say, compare her hair with yours, Yvonne. Obviously. Mine is nowhere near that length. But I think just the essence of Asha Mandela, it's not just about the length of the hair. It's not just about that she's a world record holder, but it's an underlying message that for whatever you do, that you should be able to be determined with it. And obviously also talking about the definition of beauty, it has to be something personal, something unique. She's got that unique thing that she will leave us with for the rest of our lives. And that is something that will supersede her even when she's gone from this world. So what is it for you? That definition of beauty that we all struggle with, long hair, perm hair, weave hair, whatever it is, as long as you are proud of it. So, you know, it's really is an inspiration. And of course that she is Kenyan. I am hanging on to that fact. She's not American or Trinidadian or whatever. She's Kenyan. Asha Mandela, world record holder for the world's longest dreadlocks, who is in the country talking about her products, and of course also getting in touch with her motherland. And you know, this is where she has her family, and this is what she's come to share with us. Thank you so much, Asha. I will not ask to touch your hair, but I think it is amazing that you're able to do something so incredible. Many of us would not say what we've left in this world, or rather what legacy we would leave. I think you are able to say that, and perhaps a challenge to the rest of us. But thank you for coming and gracing us with your version of beauty. Asha Mandela, world record holder, with us live and only on KTN Sunrise Live. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your feedback. And thank you for being with us all throughout this morning. Okay, so have a good one as your tweets continue to come in over this amazing feat that we have with us. Thank you for watching. My name is Yvonne Okwara. We'll see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.